Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast, where we talk about all things sustainable fat loss. We take people on 90-day journeys to creating fat loss forever. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the episode.
Good morning and welcome back to the Breaking 90 podcast. I am your co-host, Kelly Sarlo, here with my amazing co-host, Jerrika Rydell. We are two of the coaches of Breaking 90 Fitness. Thank you for being here. Jer, how are you?
Hey, Kelly, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. This is take 2 of our episode.
Sometimes that happens.
It does, yes. You were just asking me previously what was new or good,
Yes.
and I was mentioning that I'm super excited this summer to be building a greenhouse and a shed on property that we bought. And that
It's just so amazing.
yeah, that I'm having a lot of fun just learning what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah, and you were saying that you have a pretty good support system or some professionals that actually know what the heck they're doing, and I think that is huge. I've been finding myself doing a lot of Googling, taking care of my plants on my deck.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's so fun to go back to a beginner's mindset, and just be like, "Well, guess we'll figure this out."
And you do, right? Like and then you've got some pretty awesome tools that you'll be using for literally ever now that you have this
Yeah.
space that you having a
Yeah.
greenhouse, chickens, a home. What else are you guys
Oh
thinking?
my God. I don't know.
Goats?
Just leave it there. I can't do any more right now. I'm at capacity.
Love
Well,
it.
honestly, it gets me thinking about our clients a lot because as I'm sometimes mainly standing around watching the professionals do it, which is my family, I'm like, okay, this is if I learn one thing to do today, I'm going to build my confidence and I'm going to come back tomorrow with a little bit more to be on this site and, feel more comfortable in my body. And I just imagine that's how everyone feels starting out at the gym or figuring out what the hell to do in the kitchen, right? Like beginner's mindset is so important to walk in with that humility and just be like, I'm here to learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is, are you segueing into our topic today?
Yeah, I was going to. Is that okay?
That's perfect flow. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I wanted to pick your brain. You've been a movement coach for so long with so many wonderful, successful clients. Um, I want to ask you questions about how you help build their confidence in the gym, not necessarily specific to that location, but with their workout routine as they're, doing that progressive overload and figuring out what goals they want to set. Like, I know some people walk in just like really determined and happy and ready, and the confidence is semi there, and they're just learning the technical skills. But so many of us walk in and we're just like, please tell me what to do and how to do it because I feel useless.
And I think that's bang on is when you're starting out, having a plan. Now the plan can have a couple different directions, right? As an online coach, the plan might look like you receiving it via your phone and having it written out in front of you. If you don't have the online coach, right, having a plan might be hiring a trainer or having a friend who's like just very comfortable in the gym. So having some sort of plan when you walk into either an actual facility, you walk into your basement with all this new equipment, right? Having that plan will just give you some direction um, within that plan, or having just some type of access to either your phone or manual, making sure you're doing things safe. So having videos is huge. So with our clients, I always make sure that every plan has videos associated with doing it. I always recommend watching those ahead of time, right? So it's just before you step into the gym, maybe you're in the change room, maybe you're in your car, maybe you're in your kitchen before you head downstairs. Just take a second to read over what maybe you're about to do or what you're about to try, and take a second to look at some videos or read about some safety tips, or talk to your coach if some concerns that you have, because ultimately I think that's what's one of the biggest I don't know what the, I guess I don't know what the right word would be,
Like a hurdle.
issues. Yeah, hurdle, exactly, when heading into an unknown territory, right? It's like I don't know how to do it, I don't want to hurt myself, especially with our moms, middle-aged older women. That's the last thing you want to happen when you're living such a busy lifestyle, is getting hurt. So just making sure that we're doing it in a safe way. So like I said, have a plan, usually coming from, if you're working with us, usually coming from me with your videos. Check things out before you head down there. That would be my first recommendation from a movement perspective. Now, I want to take this, I guess, in two different directions, because if you're heading into a gym facility, there's some extra things that I always recommend if you're feeling really nervous or unsure. Sometimes not going during absolute peak times when you're just starting could be really beneficial, just because some of these facilities are so overwhelmingly busy. You might not have access to the things that you want to jump on. And when you're new, you don't really know what type of substitution to make. And the more often than I can make our clients feel less stressed and less overwhelmed, then they're, you know, they might be reaching out to me and they don't have access. And then they end up doing either walking out or choosing something that may have harmed them in that moment. So I just always recommend just maybe choosing a quieter time of the day or a time at home where you don't have muffins in the oven and your dog's got to be walked and a ton of distractions, right? Just so that when you're learning, you can just focus on slowing things down and gaining confidence in those movements. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I do. My brain goes to individuals who are starting out with such light weights that they're kind of in the mentality of like, oh, this is embarrassing, or like, what's the point? I'm only lifting 2 pounds. Like, how do you talk to them? I'm curious as a mindset coach, like, how do you approach them and work through or break down that sort of feeling of maybe humility that they have?
This is one's for sure. It's tough. But it's that reminder that every single person around you, most of them aren't even looking, to be honest with you, but everyone believes that they are. So it's just, everyone has picked up those 2 pound weights at some point in their journey, right? It's like whether for them it was 10 years ago or whether it's a few weeks ago, right? We've all been there. So it's just that it's very tough, but it's definitely that reminder is we've all started from somewhere, and you just being there is a celebration in itself. Um, yeah, that one's definitely a tough one. It depends who you're working with is kind of how I would handle that one.
Mhm. Okay, so different question then. How do you I would imagine this is going to be individual to each person that you're working with, but how do you bring in celebration to each of your coaching kind of relationships?
I'm going to take this from a movement
Yeah.
more like programming, because instead of the mindset perspective, um, it could be something. You know, I had a client last week who has never squatted down to hit the box before, right? So they've always done little like quarter squats because they had knee issues. Well, we worked over time to build that strength in their knees, and they just squatted and touched their butt on a 90-degree bench. And that, you know, they sent a picture, I sent a video. It's those celebrations to make them recognize that that mobility in the knee is now going to allow for you to pick up your grandkid on the floor, because now you're bending. It's just relaying it to a more personable action in their life, to more things that can affect their day-to-day lifestyle, that I'm finding is key with celebration. Because if they're just like, I'm doing it in the gym but I'm going home and living their life, they don't see that connection as, how is this really helping me? So I always try to bring it back to their family, their friends, their own personal lifestyle, and they're like, holy shit, now I'm celebrating because now I'm doing this with my kids or this with my grandkids.
I love that so much. I think that goes right back to the other question about like, what do you do when you have someone who's just like, what's the point? I'm only lifting 2 pounds.
Right.
You see this kind
Yes.
of progress, and it's just like, yeah, but now you have the ability to carry your own groceries, or you have the ability to do certain things for independence, which is amazing.
Funny you say that. My granny, so it's my grandmother, was here yesterday, and she was hanging out with my son Beckett, who's now 20 pounds. And we've been kind of working with her shoulders and her wrists because she's been really struggling. And 20 pounds is her limit. So she was so excited now because she's reached 20 pounds that she can lift my son. So it was really special yesterday.
Oh my God, congratulations.
Yeah, it was cute. Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
That's
Nice
beautiful.
to have her here. Yeah.
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 Cool. So, okay, I it's not that I want to take it in any one direction. What I really hope that listeners are going to get out of this is understanding how confidence continues to be built. I don't know that there's ever a time that someone just walks into the gym and feels 100% confident about what they're doing unless it's repetitive over and over again for, X number of months or years. So if you are someone who is just starting out and you're like, I don't even have the confidence to ask someone for a tour, like, how do you help them through those barriers to kind of break down steps for them so that they feel, even if it's not in a gym, but asking someone like, can I have assistance picking up these weights to carry, like to bring them home from Canadian Tire, let's say. How do
Right.
you coach your clients through this ability to ask for what they need?
To ask for help, basically. And yeah. to
Yeah.
not be ashamed or anything in that nature. I think it ultimately circles back to your bigger why. And this is conversations we've had uh, on our podcast and with our clients over and over again. It's not always going to be easy, but we have to do hard things, unfortunately, to or fortunately, to get the results that we're looking for. Sometimes it is going to require some tough love from your coach, and I'm going to give you that swift kick in the butt that you'll need in order to get there. Right? You have goals, and sometimes you need that accountability, and it might not always be, sorry, then it's okay. Don't go get the weights. It's like, if this is the goals you want, then you got to go pick them up. Fortunately, I can also give you options with bands and body weight. So I'm not always going to be harsh and say you need this specific weight, because there's a lot of options when it comes to resistance training and the benefits there. But when you are someone who has specific goals, making sure that you get the tough love or the love you need to get there. I just, kind of a side note, but I was just thinking about the gym, or even heading into your garage gym or wherever you're planning on exercising. And I mentioned at the beginning about having a plan. That plan may have one exercise, one singular exercise for the day, right? It might require a little bit of a warm up, but I might say today you're just going to get comfortable with squatting. Today we might try a dumbbell squat, or we might try a barbell, but it might just be one exercise. And to understand that is a plan, and that is okay, and that is a workout in itself. Coach Alex and I have talked often about, when we don't have much time, we just choose one movement and we do it. And that is from beginner level all the way to an advanced level. So just not being ashamed, I guess that's the right word, when it comes to just doing one thing in the gym. And over time, that one thing will become two. Okay, I'll try squats and curls, right? And you just kind of compound on that, and that circles back to everything we teach within Breaking 90. Is just something over nothing, gradually, simplicity over complexity, right? Always circling back to those guiding principles.
Yeah, I really love something that you said, and it might go over some people's heads, but I think for some people it'll really ring true. If they are thinking like, well, I really want to go pick up weights from a store, but I'm too nervous to ask for the help, or I'm too nervous to ask for the tour in the gym, like, when you break things down, like, oh, you can Google that before you go in, or oh, you can just purchase bands, you're giving them that kind of lower barrier to entry, where the option that they didn't necessarily see is there, and they think, oh, well, I can do that. Right. And that in and of itself builds your confidence, similar to the way that you said, if you can't do the whole workout, but you can do one movement. Oh, well, that whole self-efficacy of I can do that just builds that momentum. Right. And then we feel that little bit of confidence kick in, and it's like, okay, well, I'll try one more thing. I'll try one more thing that she mentioned. And that's essentially how any of us get anywhere. Um, I also love that you mentioned the swift kick in the butt, and there's sometimes gentleness. And as a coach, you definitely have to ride that fine line. How do you handle it, or how do you approach it with a client when you recognize that the goals that they've set for themselves are too low?
Ooh, well, then that's when we have those conversations, like, you can achieve so much more, right? And it might just be setting out a milestone for, as a coach, having that conversation, picking that goal and letting them achieve it in like a day, and being like, okay, let's put this into perspective. You set out this goal, I put it on your program on day one, and you already did it. Right. So it's making them recognize that they are so much stronger than they think, so much faster, etc., whatever the goal may have been. Um, but yeah, let them achieve it, but in a quicker timeline, so that they can be like, okay, what's next? What's next? What should we set out? Right. And having that conversation. And then sometimes it might be me helping guide them into big. They might say, I want to squat 20 pounds. And I'll be like, well, you did 10 today, so 20 is next week. So like, let's hit 80 pounds. Right. Sometimes it's giving them that guidance from more of a professional standpoint, being like, I've seen so many people do this. I'm estimating you'll be here. We're gonna push for bigger numbers. Yeah, I think that's kind of the direction I take it.
Cool. I love that. I just like, it's infusing people with the idea that they are so much more than their limitations.
Absolutely.
That's lovely.
Absolutely.
I I wanted to say too, like the relationship that people are sometimes afraid to build with a coach because it requires vulnerability is probably one of the most beautiful relationships that you'll ever build with an individual. I think about you celebrating them being able to lift their, their own grandkid or, function in their own home without having to be in assisted living or something. Like some people in our lives who love us and know us the best don't know what a big deal it is that you have squatted and touched your bum on a bench, and you don't really know how to convey to them how
Right.
should be celebrating you right now and how exciting it actually is. And they kind of have this like mundane reaction, and you're just like, I need someone who gets it. And you do your turn back to the coach and you're like, oh my God, I did this, right? Like, because we understand or how far you've come or how much you've had to work to actually get here. And I think sometimes that relationship can be really underrated or underestimated when we're first starting out thinking I just want to be able to lift or squat or do whatever.
And I
So
think,
go ahead.
sorry, what you just said about I just want to be able to lift your squatter. I just want to touch on that. It's like a lot of people come in with those goals, right? They see a social media video or they hear a friend lifting or squatting or doing X numbers. It's like, I want to be strong like that. But yeah, it's relaying it to, well, that strength in the gym and how can we relate it to your lifestyle? And then that's where they even learn how to celebrate themselves too. Cause I think it kind of goes both ways.
Yes, thank you for touching on that too, because I think that's part of the biggest celebration is yes, it's amazing to look at your coach where they're just like so happy for you. And when the coach isn't there, you end up being able to actually recognize and take the time to celebrate yourself, which is what a lot of people are missing. We think it's the gym that's intimidating. We think it's the other thing that's external is the reason we don't have the confidence, and yet it has a whole lot more to do with self-esteem in general. So I really, really love how movement facilitates this ability to boost our confidence in just every direction. So thank you for taking the time to talk about it.
Awesome. A couple extra things that I'm
Yeah.
just thinking is little things like make sure you have a good playlist. Like pick your favorite songs. That really helps when it comes to confidence in the gym, whether it's in your basement or whether it's at the gym, right? Put something that makes you feel energized and alive and just excited to maybe it's just yeah, you've created a new playlist and you just really want to go listen to it, right? Those things are a podcast. I'm a podcaster, so I love listening to other
Mm.
podcasts when I go for runs. So it's just something that's going to let you escape for the time being and get you excited. Are just little tips that really go a long way when it comes to starting something new.
Cool. Thank you. That was really valuable.
Awesome. Do you have a closing tip for us
Yeah,
too?
actually, yes. Time of year, my biggest tip that I love to leave with people is remember your vitamins. And
Love it.
now is likely the time that you're going to want to start taking things like, well, the vitamins themselves or things that are going to supplement your vitamin D, like a sad lamp. This is the time of year that we start to not necessarily just notice that we're slipping into that seasonal affective disorder. It doesn't hit us maybe until October, but now is the time that your body is starting to make those changes. We're losing that sunlight. So if you can get on top of that now, you're doing incredible service for yourself that by the times October hits, you feel like yourself still. Not again, still.
Love it. That's
Okay.
huge. Good reminder.
Thank you. Okay. And thank you guys for listening. If you have a minute and feel so inclined, we'd love for you to take a screenshot and share this to your social media. Share with a friend if you think that this would help them. I know so many people want to accomplish these kinds of goals and don't know where to start. And this is a really great place to sort of build that confidence. We will see you guys next week with a brand new episode.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelly.